I'm your host, Raj Anderson, Executive Life Coach and Coach Assessor, and I am here with John Andrew Williams, who is the founder of Coach Training EDU. And John, we were just chatting, weren't we, about all the exciting things that are happening at Coach Training EDU. You just came off of a workshop. How was all of that?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. We're starting up the business building series. So it's specifically designed for coaches who are in training, alumni. Yeah, I mean, this is something that's been on the calendar. I mean, it's been on the to-do list for a bit, and now we finally have it on the calendar. So if you are in a class or graduate, we're going to try to meet, I think, every other week to focus on business building specifically. It'll alternate Tuesdays, Thursdays. But we did one today, 9 Pacific. We have another one coming up 4 o'clock this evening Pacific time. And yeah, we went over growth mindset. The ideas of what it means to apply growth mindset to building a coaching practice. It's also open to people who are interested in, joining, getting into coaching, but it's primarily designed for people who are already in the training. So we'll see how it goes. We'll let it run a lot like this podcast. It's been one of the things that we've been planning on doing. We finally get it moving, and then it gets a life of its own. So I'm excited for that.
There are lots of great things happening, and I'm getting some great feedback from the demos as well, John. I was doing some overviews last week and this morning as well, and I am really seeing how coaches are using not just even our previous podcasts, but the demos in particular. I'm seeing how it's impacting their coaching and their presence. What do you make of that?
I'm not. I mean, I'm not in it anymore, so I don't see the. I mean, I only have one class that I lead, and it's wrapping up. So I see that, but I don't see I don't see the progress in the way that the assessors are seeing it. But it's fun to hear that it's making a difference. I'm having a lot of fun with it. In doing the demos, I'm realizing that there just aren't that many out there. There's not a lot of podcasts that are doing this kind of thing where, and I understand why, because it's hard. You have to get someone who's willing to be coached and have that shared publicly. You have to have a coach who's willing to be recorded and shared publicly, and then to have it reviewed publicly. I mean, these are like three hurdles all happening at the same time. But here we are, and we've done them, and I'm having so much fun with this. And we got just the endless stream of demos happening. So yeah, it's going to continue.
Well, thank you, John, for your continued commitment to the coaching world and just bringing this to all of us, because I'm learning a lot and I'm growing listening to you and being part of all of this. So I know we're going to go into listening to part 2. We were listening to Allyson, weren't we?
Yep, I have it queued up. So let me get it there. All right, perfect. And yeah, so I just let it roll. Just do the thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
So here we are, share sound, all good things. Boom. Just gonna press play, jump in.
It's not, so it's definitely a work in progress.
What internal strength have you developed through that?
I don't know. When you used the word stamina earlier, I think it's about this is not the entire thing, but I think one element is working on a different narrative. So one of the narratives that has been kind of a working narrative is like, okay, my mother is here full time. I can't really work outside. I mean, like outside the home, I can't. I just saw my world constricting. And I think one of the shifts for me was, why should it restrict? Like, it doesn't have to be that way. I just have to open my horizon and where in other ways. And so I think I would say that right now I'm retuning my narrative.
Wow.
And that's that it's burgeoning. It's good, but it's burgeoning, and I mean, I see it as a tangible thing. It's just
What's the action step that you feel like is just waiting, like, if life is waiting for you to take? It's interesting, huh, Raj? We're 12 minutes in, and I'm going for an action step question. What are you thinking?
I was just curious about that.
Mhm.
We're only 12 minutes in, you're going to action. I could see learn, be, do happening here as well, right?
Mhm.
In the learn, be, do model. I mean, normally if I were assessing a coach, right? We're assessing a coach, say we're looking at ACC or PCC, we're like, well, don't go to action too soon. Yet, I'm curious about what led you here at this point.
I wanted to make it more tangible. I felt like it was, it was a little bit like, what are we talking about? Like, sure, I think the space to me, I mean, it feels okay. It feels good. It feels like, okay, like she's in it, she's processing, she's here. But I wanted more. I wanted to go deeper, quicker. Like, what's real here? Like, where are you really at in this moment? And I'm not trying to get her to do something that's, how do I say it? I'm not trying to get an action step here that's going to solve it or break it open. I just more want something that's tangible so we can continue to talk about something that feels more real rather than it's nebulous. Like something that is going to happen. Like, what are we really talking about? It'll be fascinating to see how she answers it and to see where I take it. But yeah, no, action at 12 minutes in is unusual. If you're going at, if you're doing a 36-minute or whatever, an hour-long session. Let's see what she says.
Yeah, I do want to make a note. Coaches listening there, John has just explained the intent behind this question is not about moving into doing or well-designed actions. There is a deeper intent here, and those are some of the things we have to think about as coaches when we're being intentional. This is you really staying with the client. She's searching for this. You can see and hear it. So you're using this question not because you're trying to move to doing, but you're using this question, as you said, to get deeper. So I just wanted to summarize that to people who are listening and might be curious about, well, what's the difference here?
Yeah,
These are your reasons, your intent.
you're heading off questions that you're going to get in the assessing when people
Yes,
are
I
doing
am.
well, John did it here, 12-minute mark when he's talking to Allyson. What's happening here? Well, this is what's happening here. Let's see how she takes it and see what happens from here.
You know me well.
I'm not sure how to put it, but really engaging in full as a coach, as somebody who has something to share, who has knowledge. I was in education professionally, using the strengths developed there without having to be in education. I am in education, but not the way I was.
Yeah.
Part of what I'm enjoying is rediscovering the stuff that I love that was before attached to my position. And re actualizing it, I guess, in a world, in the coaching world. And so, taking the risks and, call it this, just jumping into it, with confidence and curiosity about what will emerge.
So there's no action step in that. Isn't that fascinating? So what do you do as a coach? Right? Where would you take this, Raj? Kind of curious.
I'm still curious what's beneath all of that. She's reactualizing it. She's still looking for curious. She's curious herself, isn't she? I'm not quite sure she's certain what that tangible bit is. So we need to dig deeper in terms of what all of that means to her. I'm still curious as well. Earlier, she was using language around this different narrative and almost feeling restricted.
Yeah, I think what I'm yearning for as a coach is what are we really talking about? Like what is it seems like there's a lot of dancing around something, and I'm not sure what exactly we're dancing around. And I mean, I have ideas based on other sessions I've done, like what I know about, I have ideas of what she's talking about. But it's fascinating that we haven't got to the steps. So we'll see where I take it. This is sweet. I think this is instructive, for what to do when clients aren't going directly into it and seeing it, although I know there's still value being created.
There's that word.
It feels like a lot of pressure placed on yourself by yourself.
Mm.
I'm fishing.
I'm not feeling it as pressure.
Yeah. What are you feeling it as?
Relief.
Sweet.
So long as I maintain a mindset of curiosity. So I think part of it is it is a process. I mean, I do have goals, and I do want to live financially, be financially stable, and it's not the only thing that I'm working towards. Right. I think that's the part that so far right now I'm enjoying the discovery. And I recognize that sometimes that's hard to maintain. And so for the time being, I'm preserving that space because I really want it to be. I don't know if I'm curious to see what I become.
Yeah. Feel it. When you get curious about the fear, if you're personify the fear of loss of the space, what comes up? This point. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing stuff out. I'm
Mm,
taking coaching risk after coaching risk,
mm.
wondering if she's going to go and like, really riff on something. It's so far no. I don't know. You know what I mean? It feels like I'm risking a lot. Not a lot of risk. Questions are pretty safe, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I was wondering at this point, like if I was in this session, I'm coaching. I think I'm getting to a point where I want to maybe ask a prickly question or ask like, what are you avoiding? Right? Because
Yes.
there is this avoidance and resistance happening here, isn't there? We can feel it.
Feeling it too. Where and I'm giving her a lot of space to process, which just means her session. So she can process this if she wants to, but I can feel myself like internally amping it up. Like I'm with her, but I'm like, all right, Allyson, what are we doing here? You know? Uh, and I also trust her in her process. And if she does need to, this time in life where she doesn't have complete control over her schedule, to be gentle with the goals and be gentle with where she's at, I respect that too. So that's the balance where I'm at, where it's like, okay, how much do I push her to take that, take that step if she's wanting to, or just give her space to process where she's at. It's up to her as a client.
How do you determine that as a coach, John?
That's a good question. I think you ask your client, you know, how do you want to use the time? How do you want to use the session? Where are you at? Um, I mean, I think that is the assumption that we make as coaches, is that, people are coaching you because they want to be pushed, or maybe they don't. So it's a design the alliance thing, you know. Let's listen a couple more times and let's jump to the end, because I want to get through these in this podcast, so we don't have these one coaching session takes 4 weeks of time to go through and finish it out. So we'll see where I go from here. Then we'll come to the end and see what the energy's like. For those in the training or alumni, you can watch the whole demo all the way through. This one's instructive. I think it's fascinating to me is I'm asking almost more doing questions at different times. I'm asking questions about like pain points, and she continues to go like coachy, very coachy. Like, this is my being self. Let's talk about narratives. Let's talk about all the very coachy things. And I'm trying to almost I'm not breaking rules on this, but I'm definitely moving towards more tangibility in this one. Or I'm wanting to move to more tangibility, where I feel like a lot of times you have to go the other way. You have to go from tangibility to character traits, or tangibility to what's that internal story. This one's interesting because now I'm throwing a tool out and I'm asking her to personify the fear. I think I'm just yearning for something tangible. Let's see what happens.
It's a good one.
It's a long pause.
The fear is definitely there. I suppose it is the one that doesn't, or I don't know, a creature that sits and won't move. Um, you know, it's a voice that says, well, what if you really don't take off?
Yeah.
Um, the there are things that can happen. I think that, both for, well, members of my family that will put a pause on this work that I'm doing. And maybe part of the fear is that I won't be able to continue, or that those are events, but then there's all that repercussion. And so finding my footing again, that's how I think of it. Like, I know I'll be interrupted, but it's about finding my footing again.
Right.
So maybe it's a little ugly thing that floats like kelp in the ocean, not the kelp that's really rooted, but something that's just sort of adrift.
And we got there. Woo! I had to work. Oh, I had to work hard. Yeah, Rod. What do you think?
I just love that question that you asked about personifying the fear. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to say too much because I know, John, we could talk about this for another 10 hours. So
we might have to just pause it here and I finish it out like solo next week. That might be the thing to do. Yeah, let's do that. No more rushing. I'm trying to not my own rule is limit the number of fire drills and don't rush if you don't need to. It's what I've been leaning into as a human lately.
So what are your thoughts as you just heard that back?
Oh, I feel like finally we have something tangible that we can then work with. And I mean, this is all known. I mean, I think this is the second or maybe even third time I've worked with her and I know more of what she's up to. So she's talking more when she's using pronouns of referring to the work, she's meaning writing work. And I think here it's the challenge is being interrupted, constant interruptions. So now to me the session has a contour. It's like, all right, now we're looking at how can she get back to where she needs to go, recover her focus, recover her work, recover more quickly. And now we have help as a visual. I feel like the coaching session now has a clear path to go down.
Yeah. It kind of shifted it and unlocked her as well. And put it into perspective, we are still not even 19 minutes in, and you have only worked with this client a couple of times before. And so this demonstrates that the power and impact of coaching and being able to go deeper, but also where your intuition was telling you that you knew, you could feel it, that there was something more, and you weren't keeping it surface level, and you weren't prepared to take those risks as a coach.
Yeah, it seemed like I mean, in just this little snippet, you're going from, okay, the question I'm asking, it feels a little disjointed to me in the sense that I'm not taking where she's going and then riffing on it so much as I'm thinking, okay, that's interesting. Let me try here. All right, that's interesting. Let me try here. Because I'm feeling like, so like because I think I get a sense of like, so what are we really doing? What's the tangible thing that we can look at that you don't have an opportunity to look at solo, that you can take the most advantage of our time together? That's what I'm asking myself as a coach. And when I'm thinking, I'm literally cycling through different tools that I have to see if something will get to the point that we're at right now. And we got here. We're 20 minutes in. And we have a personified yeah, we have a metaphor to work with, basically. That represents something tangible. We're good. I'm just like, yay, all right. Like, so now as a coach, I'm thinking, yeah, I did what I needed to do. And now the session has a very clear path to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe work. I don't know how much it looked like work on the surface though, but maybe. You know.
I mean, I don't think you were making it look like work, actually. I mean, you'll know from your experience, from how much coaching you've done. I mean, what I'm seeing as I'm listening to it and looking in is actually you're embodying that coaching mindset as well. Like you're being courageous. And you said even last week, it's about letting go of perfection as a coach, isn't it? You know, it would be easy for a coach at that point to get into their own head and think, oh my gosh, are these questions landing? Like, oh, where are we going? Well, you know, perhaps starting to get stressed or frustrated or overwhelmed. And we've all been there at some point where you think we're not getting to it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm seeing that courage with you and that resilience in just being courageous and asking those questions. And sometimes we ask questions, oh, it's like throwing something at the wall, hoping it's going to stick, and it happens.
Yeah, I mean, in the back of my mind too, I think, and this is eased since I've, started doing these, but to let it happen more naturally. But I know that there is some pressure to create demos for the sections of the curriculum that don't have demos yet. And so I'm thinking, oh, maybe this could be one of those opportunities where I use this to create a full demo that we could then use for the curriculum. And I'm wondering in that space when I've let that go. In this session, I did let that go. I'm like, because we have intercritic demos. We've done, I don't know, maybe 5 intercritic demos at this point. But I just think to myself, all right, this one works. Like it's here, an intercritic demo, sure. Like this is what we're doing again. We're here again. Let it roll. So that's also in the back of my mind. But I'm also thinking, you know what? It's all new. I mean, each of these demos are new too. So they have different flavor to them, the different, a little bit different space. With Allyson, it's, now I feel like we could very quickly move into resilience, which is which is where we're at this point. Like the rest of this would fit into coaching a client, not so much that they don't fall or fail, but when they do fall and do fail because life circumstances are the way they are, how quickly can she get back up? That's the question.
Thank you for sharing all of that, John. I know we're almost at time. I will say as well, the other feedback that I've had about these demos is how real you are. Real and authentic and just vulnerable too. And I think that is a big part of what coaches need to see. You know, when they are feeling their inner critic showing up, or maybe they're having imposter syndrome, and the feedback they receive to see somebody like John, you know, people look up to you, who's a very seasoned coach, be very honest and real and curious about yourself. It just humanizes the whole process. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. I think part of it is I get to the sense of I just know I'm human, we're all humans, and we're all doing the best we can. That's why we come to the helper profession in the first place. We're not trying to get out there and, somehow, do something that is, trying to like skirt the system or somehow enter into a space where we get massive amount of reward for very little work. That's not what we're here for. We're here to help. And when you have a heart that is set on helping and you get into the coaching profession, I think very clearly and very quickly, you see uh, our job as coaches is simply to give people space. And you look at those pauses. I mean, there was a whole 2 minutes almost, that one question. And maybe she said 15 words in 2 minutes. That's that's a lot of listening for very few words. But each word you can tell, like, I'm listening to them. I know everyone listening to this podcast is listening to them. Like, there's a lot of listening happening. And oftentimes listening is enough. So,
Absolutely. We'll close out on that. Oftentimes listening is enough. Thank you, John. Thank you to everyone who's listening. Thank you for continuing to share your feedback, and we will see you soon.
thanks, Bob. Thanks, everyone.